Hey there, restaurant pros. It's David Scott Peters, and welcome to the Restaurant Prosperity Formula podcast. For over 2 decades, I've been guiding restaurant owners to success with the proven principles of something I call the Restaurant Prosperity Formula. I originally created the formula based on the daily practices of the most successful restaurateurs I've coached, and it's now the foundation of what I teach restaurant owners like you so you can achieve success. What do I mean by success? Success is a restaurant owner who dictates the terms of their life and their bank account instead of their restaurants dictating those things for them. Success is a restaurant owner who has freedom from the restaurant, a financial freedom they never thought possible. How you define success is up to you, but I do know the way to achieving it is using the Restaurant Prosperity Formula. This season, I'm diving even deeper into the core elements of the formula: leadership, systems, training, accountability, and taking action. Along with my insights, you'll hear from special guests, industry experts, and inspiring success stories from fellow restaurant owners who've turned their businesses around and found their definition of success. In this episode number 134, we'll be doing a segment I call Flip the Table, where a member takes over and interviews me. Today, I'm handing the mic to somebody who brings decades of restaurant experience to the table, Brian Sandel. He is an owner and partner of Creekwood Grill in Cypress, Texas, and is one of the very best people I know when it comes to developing high-performing restaurant teams. Get ready, because he'll be asking the questions, and I'll let you know, he did the research preparing for our interview. Let's listen in and see what Brian had up his sleeves. Let's get started, but first, a word from our sponsor. Boost your restaurant's performance with the Service with Style's secret shopping program. Get comprehensive reports with photos, customized visit templates, a vast network of experienced shoppers, and a fantastic scoring system so you know exactly what your guests are experiencing. You control the frequency and rotation. No minimums, no contracts, no cancellation charges, and no hidden fees. Enjoy industry-leading reporting and scoring software, plus a 10% discount off the price, and your first shop is free. Set up a quick call today at www.servicewithstyle.com/DSP. Brian, I want to thank you for doing this with me today. I appreciate you.
Happy to be here, David. Anytime anybody that has impacted me as positively as you and your team and everybody in Mastery Plus has impacted me, then, if somebody comes and says, hey, can you do this for me? The answer is always yes.
Well, I think we'll have fun. We've spent many a night in Las Vegas after meetings having a couple beers, so you and I are going to be fine talking, but I do want people to know a little bit about you. I can tell you that we've now known each other for a number of years. You've been a part of the Mastery Plus group, which is my high-level mastermind group of restaurant owners. Your business partner has been somebody I've worked with for many years before, from seminars to my old company to now, Mark. And really where you and I met was at a Mastery Plus meeting where 3 times a year we meet in Las Vegas with like-minded restaurant owners who want to make change in their business. But it is a high level of restaurant owner. It's somebody who has got a growth mindset in place, wants to share, openly will say, I've got a problem and I've got no problem sharing that problem because we know we're going to help each other. And you've been a part of that. And you have been an integral part of sharing with others and helping them. And you are somebody who has been in the business for a long, long time, have been, in my view, very good with increasing sales in your business, getting the most out of your management team, and more importantly, you know how to build sales. Because you really take care of your guests. Restaurant 101, hospitality, that is what you do extremely well. Do me a favor, tell people a little bit about your background and your restaurant.
If you hadn't wrapped it up with that last statement, I'd say, looks like we're done here, right? No, that's you're very, very kind to say all that, David. I do appreciate it. There's a lot that has gone into it. It's not just me. It's been finding people like you, finding people like my partner, Mark. So, I'll kind of show where all that comes in. I started my career in hospitality in the nightclub business. in DJ booths, and I mean, it was very fun and exciting, and it was the '80s, and I mean, it was a blast. I got married, and then that whole nightclub thing kind of was maybe something we needed to look at changing, and so like countless hundreds, thousands of others, a buddy of mine said, "Hey, the restaurant I'm working at now, like we're looking for servers during the day. You want to come make a little money waiting tables?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, it sounds like fun. I'm sure I could figure out how to do that." And that was 1990. So, I mean, here we are, 35 years later.
Yeah.
Still stuck in this business. It was something that immediately I was able to have fun at. It's very interactive. I mean, if you've ever done the Myers-Briggs, I'm an ESTJ. This industry is littered with ESTJs. I mean, it draws us in. And so, I just thought, hey, how can I figure out how to make a living at this and, move through the chains. And so I initially worked for a couple of independently owned restaurants. I went and worked at a couple of different chains. I spent time with some smaller kind of regional chains, ended up spending several years with one of the Brinker brands, moved over to, the Chang's company for a few years, worked at Yard House. Most recently, before we opened Creekwood, I spent time with Raising Cane's. So I have worked the gamut from quick serve, drive through. I spent time at Yard House. So, $10 million a year, big box, high end restaurants. And about 7 or 8 years ago, I was looking at a place locally in the Cypress area that had just shut down, and I was showing it to my wife, and we were looking through the window, kind of peeking in, and she's like, "Well, what would you do with this place?" And I immediately was like, "Okay, well, we'd have to move the bar over here, and we'd need to rearrange that, and the flow of that is all wrong, and I don't know what I'd do with the kitchen because I've never seen the kitchen, but this is what I'd do." And she kind of took a step back and she looked at me and she said, "Let's do it. Like, it's your turn. Let's open a restaurant." And, for the rest of that night, I had a conversation of, do you fully understand what you have just greenlighted? And she did, and she's been supportive all the way. I mean, obviously, it's easier to be supportive when you're successful, right? But
Yeah.
But even in the beginning, and you know my partner really well. I mean, he's the reason I know you, right?
Right.
4 years ago or so, kind of on the back end of COVID, he looked at me and said, "Hey, man, do you want to go to Vegas with me to meet with, this restaurant coach that I'm working with?" And I'm not sure if that's the word he used. You've been described, but with many adjectives. But we'll go with coach for today.
Sure enough.
And I was like, "All right, do I want to go sit in a room full of people to just tell me and remind me of all the things I already know I'm not doing that I probably should be?" I don't know if that sounds like fun, but I'll go, just for the refresher. And that first 2 days in Vegas, listening to you talk about mindset, listening to everybody else that was in that room. I don't think Jeff was at the first meeting I was at, but he's been at every one since. I sat next to Brianna Cowan.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, you know what that's like, spending 2 days with Jonathan and Brianna, listening to them talk about their business, listening to, everybody else, Raul, just that whole room. And I came away going, man, I don't know if I learned more from David or from everybody else, and I don't really care. When's the next meeting?
Yeah.
Like, let's buy the plane tickets right now. And so, it's been a little different for me because, especially in RTI, you work with a lot of people that, there's as many different ways to come into owning a restaurant as there are people that own restaurants.
Yeah.
And, there are people that don't have the absolute benefit of having had multiple different corporations teach me how to make money, how to grow sales, how to take care of customers, the difference between service and hospitality, all those things that were pounded into me for, 25 plus years gave me a head start on a lot of the other people that I've met that are in the industry. And so, but again, we get to that first 2 years, and being an owner is totally different than being a GM or a regional or any of those other hats we've all worn, and then figuring out how to get through that first couple of years of working with Mark, where we just wanted to kill each other every day.
Yeah.
I know he's told you he wanted to murder me. There were days where I was like, if we both make it out of this building alive, it'll be a miracle. And we did. And I've heard you mention in one of the podcasts, I think it was Jonathan and Brianna. They were like, what's your first piece of advice? And you said, don't have a partner. I could not have done it without Mark.
Yeah.
I knew there was a lot of stuff that I didn't know. Mark's history, his track record, his expertise, his position in the community. Like, there were elements that Mark brought to the table that I knew I didn't have that we 100% needed. And so, I just said, look, we're going to, Mark, do you want to, let's open a restaurant together, right? And we talked about that several times. And then after we sobered up, we were like, maybe that's still not a bad idea. And, so Creekwood was born just over 7 years ago, and you and I met about 2 years ago. And I'm telling you, the mindset lessons that you had for me were instrumental in me positioning myself as the leader my restaurant needed me to be in order to grow it from where it was then to where it is today.
It's been a lot of fun watching your journey. Again, you're a restaurant pro. The biggest thing is learning that changing your role from being the guy who could do everything. You needed to have people on your team, and you really made that happen. You have repositioned yourself to truly be an owner and not have to be on the floor every single day and do all the things. And the growth from sales to your management team to making the calls of expanding the business, from redoing the backyard, literally the backyard, with turf instead of regular grass, has increased your sales because people are literally want to bring their kids and know they're not going to get muddy when it rains like hell in the Houston area. All those things because you changed your role. Now, I'm going to ask you to change your role one more time. This is the segment we call Flip the Table. So now I become, instead of the interviewer, the interviewee. And so I'm going to turn it over to you. We've not talked about what you're asking, so I'm excited to see what you've got. It is your show, sir. Okay. Well, I had already watched a couple of the Flip the Tables, and so I was excited when you guys reached out to me and asked me if I was willing to do one. And so, not in any necessarily particular order, I want to find out more about you. I mean, we can talk nuts and bolts and all that other kind of stuff, but Sure.
Let's dig into DSP. And so I'm going to do a couple of follow-up questions. So, and I know you've been asked this before, if you weren't a restaurant coach and stand-up comic was not on the list of options, what would you be doing?
I'd be
with the caveat that you need to make money. You're not independently wealthy, and you can't just go row the rest of your days away.
Well, there was a dream at one point in time when I was in college. I was a D1 athlete, scholarship to Northeastern University, and I started taking anatomy phys. I was going to take kinesiology, all these things. My idea was to coach. I could have very well seen myself continuing my journey in rowing right after I graduated, becoming an assistant coach somewhere and learning and working my way up. I love the sport. I really enjoy seeing people make change. So I guess coaching has always been a part of my future. I just thought back then it was going to be continuing in the sport and staying in coaching realm, and I would have made my way up to hopefully a collegiate level as a head coach would have been the goal.
Oh, okay. So essentially, same set of moves, different arena.
Yeah, it's working with people, getting the most out of them. It's a system, a process away from whether it be, perfecting the stroke for efficiency and working well as a team, or it's restaurant, working well as a team, following a system. It's the same stuff. So I guess nothing has really changed in my life. It's just, what is the topic? What's the subject matter?
It's funny did you say that, because every time I come back from one of the Mastery Plus trips, when I walk in, all of my management team they're like, okay, systems and processes. So in Jonathan and Brianna's, they asked you a couple of questions. You have worked with a ton of restaurateurs.
Yeah.
And they asked you about a kitchen nightmare that you had. You talked about what happened in the episode and walked into the back of the house, and there was a lot of dirty issues there, cleanliness issues, sanitation issues and stuff. But you didn't finish that story. Do you remember the restaurant you were talking about in particular?
I do. It was in Pittsburgh. It was a bistro kind of Italian restaurant, did $2 million a year. It was beautiful inside. The food was pretty darn good. Some of it was amazing. I can tell you that the chef did not show up for the walkthrough, and that's where I walk through your restaurant. God bless anybody who invites me into your restaurant. I have been uninvited in the past by friends who go, I'll show up and go, hey, can I take a look around? Like my old friend Steve Brown, God rest his soul, said, nope, you're not allowed in my kitchen anymore. Just sit down and have dinner. With that said, I can remember the sous chef coming in, and I have lost my shit only twice in the restaurant business. Once back when I was a manager and once as a coach. And I literally, you have a moral and legal responsibility to run a safe kitchen. Now, for those of you who have not listened to the other interview, I did a walk through the restaurant, and there was raw sewage coming up where prep was being done. The day dots weren't done. Things were not covered properly. On the line, they were warming up soup in the steam table, not in a pot. It was just you didn't even want to see what refrigeration looked like. It was unbelievable. And this dude walks in the walk-in, and I lose my shit. And it should have been the chef. And I ultimately looked at the restaurant owner, and I said, I will no longer eat in your restaurant until this is cleaned. Everything, you need to pull everybody in here, and you are going to clean this gosh darn place. But I'm telling you right now, I will not eat another thing in here until it happens. That's how bad it was. And it's a pretty big deal back then when somebody's paying you at that point in time was for consulting. I flew in being paid a good amount of money to help make change in the business. And I look you in the eye and go, I'm not eating a fucking thing out of your place. It's pretty ballsy, but there was no way to sugarcoat it, if that makes sense.
And so what happened after that night? Or day, whatever.
Everybody, it was all hands on deck. They cleaned the shit out of that place. I was able to eat in that restaurant 2 days later. It was disgusting. And it's really when we start to no longer look at our restaurant and have pride in it. And a part of happens is those people who don't have your experience, they buy a restaurant for whatever reason. The owner owned that restaurant because she built a real estate portfolio and had somebody who was going to go in as a restaurant. They backed out last minute. So how hard could it be? I'm going to open a restaurant. And so when you have no restaurant experience, often we look at the back house and go, oh, it's scary. I don't need I don't want to look back there because I don't know what to say. I need a professional, a chef. I need a kitchen manager. I need somebody to do so. And when you abdicate your restaurant to somebody else, they're going to do what they're going to do. And sometimes they get lazy. And so this restaurant got just disgustingly dirty. But you know what? As a restaurant owner, whether you have restaurant experience or not, you know what dirty looks like. You know what clean looks like. You know what food safety is. You took a damn course, or otherwise you couldn't open the damn business. Like, you know what plate presentation you want to see. And we've got to be able to walk back there and go, I don't need to know how to rock a knife. I need to say that's not my standard. I need it done a different way. Better yet, as we talk about the importance of checklists, put in a system that allows you to impose your will without being there, that it will be clean whether I'm there or not. And that's really what it is. Often we're afraid of the back of house, and so it goes to shit.
Yeah. And so I think that's really the more important part of the story, is that when you recognize what it is that's getting in your way and are willing to attack it, then that's what leads to the success. So I wanted to know what happened to, like, I felt like Paul Harvey, like, what's the rest of the story, right?
Man, you are dating us.
Myself.
Yeah, me too, buddy.
If you know what that reference is.
Yeah.
And so they were able to put the situation kind of back together. Do you know if they're still around? What's the latest?
I know that they are not. They sold the restaurant to a Pittsburgh Steeler that had retired, a big name. I'll lead it out because I don't want to send people any bad juju for the name, but it was sold. Yeah.
Okay. It's funny how many people get in the restaurant business and they're like, it'll be fun.
My favorite thing is the person who says, I retired and opened a restaurant. You got to be kidding me. Like, you picked the toughest business I know. You're not retiring. You're starting a whole brand new career.
Yeah. So that was, obviously that's a big success, right? Being able to convince them what they need to do, show them what they need to do. And then they had the buy-in to actually put the work in to get past it. Think about one of your proudest achievements with helping somebody get over a hump to success. And then tell me about one where you were like, damn it, I really thought I could help them. Like, I really thought we were going to get them across the finish line, and for whatever reason, it just didn't get there.
Proudest. There's so many good stories. I've literally worked with thousands of restaurant owners and their managers, and from my old company to where we are today. Proudest.
Maybe somebody that you didn't think was going to make it that proved you wrong.
I think we can look at it two ways. Number one, let's maybe not proudest. I can tell you about my favorite restaurant. And it is not to piss you off or any of my other members. And it's not even from this group. It's from my old group, meaning my old company. And the restaurant's called Okeechobee Steakhouse in West Palm Beach, Florida. It was started as a catfish restaurant, diner kind of thing in the middle of marshes. Nobody was around there by the first generation. We're now 3 generations deep in owners. And over time, society came out there and it turned into a steakhouse. I think it's been open, it might be 70 years, 70 plus. And it is the highest quality product. It is the top level service, great culture. But the challenge was the owner, who was second generation, couldn't teach others how to do what he did. He opened another restaurant, and then if he'd go over there, that would suffer. He'd come back, that would suffer. And I think at one point in time may have had a few restaurants, but would literally have to sell them and come back because he knew his business. Curtis was amazing. Like, he knew more than I knew, I guarantee you. So he just grew up in the business. But he's the kind of guy that walked in and would print off his product mix report in the morning on paper, grab a cup of coffee and a pencil and a calculator and go through the numbers every single day. Could figure out what ordering needed to be done, whether a promotion was working. like just knew everything, but it was paper and pencil and what have you. The challenge was expanding the restaurant, but more importantly, developing management team. And I think one of my proudest moments would have been being a part of what was already a fantastic business and helping him train and select his management team, help go through the no birds, why it doesn't work, you don't understand, we're different, to a point where his son now is running things. And Ralph is doing an incredible job, and I think has opened up 3 or 4 additional restaurants, utilizing the team that was built in that store. Because once you change the culture, once you get people trained up and ready, there's nothing you can't do, because it's the same damn system no matter where it is. Now, different leadership at each different spot, and I'm going to give all the credit to Ralph Lewis for growing the business. But I give all the credit to Curtis Lewis for saying, I'm good, but I'm lacking somewhere that needs some help. And that's training others that it's not just me doing things. And recognizing that as successful as he was, that you could bring somebody in and I could become better. And I think that'd be one of my favorite things is seeing that kind of change. Now, somebody who I didn't think would make it, I'm gonna be dead straight with you. I don't bring people on if I don't think you're going to make it, because I'm an investment. If you're not going to do the work, if you've got a bad mindset, I don't want to play. I really don't, because I want to enjoy the people I work with. Like I joked around how you and I have had beers together. Well, by God, we're in Vegas together. We're going to be friendly. Otherwise, what am I doing? I don't want to surround myself with people I don't like, and vice versa, right? So I don't really have a good answer for that one.
Okay. Well, that's probably good. I mean, it makes sense to put yourself in a place where you can be like, look, I don't have to hang out with people I don't like.
Yeah. I
had a friend one time get very excited because he wanted to open a private club. He wanted to open a restaurant, but portion of it would be a private club. I spent a number of years working in the area in Houston known as the energy sector, where this is a whole bunch of executives with tons of money who are not used to hearing the word no. And I'm like, why do I want to open a place that attracts those guys?
Yeah. Like,
there are people that are designed to work with them. That's not me. I'm going out to Cypress and we're going to hang out with the families, right? Nothing that. So let's here's a good segue. Why Vegas?
I will tell you, I picked Vegas 23 years ago for my first seminar, and then my meetings and everything I did, because I knew, number one, restaurant owners and managers like debauchery. There's no better place for debauchery than Las Vegas. There's drinking, there's gambling, there's anything you're looking for, it is there. It's also got a lot of big name chefs and restaurants, so the foodie types would come out and go, I want to go to this restaurant, I want to go to this restaurant, this restaurant. The biggest reason was, if you came out in the beginning, it was a 4-day workshop. Now it's 2-day seminar, because I'm getting old. But 4 days, how do I get you to come on an airplane, come to 4 days? Because if this guy sucks, meaning me, at least I'm in Vegas. So it was partially that. It was like, hey, I can get over the hump of why would I want to invest and get on an airplane? At least I'm in Vegas. And I think there were a number of people. One of my good friends, Brad Hackard, who became a coach for me and a consultant, and I think you may have met. He's been a guest at our meeting a couple times at Floribama. He's the director of ops there. Incredible guy. That's how he got there. He was literally a manager for a restaurant, and like, if this sucks, at least I'm in Vegas. And that's probably the main reason. Yeah.
There are a few adventures that I have been a part of that we won't share details on this podcast.
Vegas has stories. We just keep them to ourselves.
Just 2 words, secret pizza, and we're going to move on.
There we go.
So I want to get to know you a little bit better personally. Let's talk about the ink that you have, the tattoos. like most of us that have tattoos, and again, restaurant business, a lot of folks with tattoos, the two of us included. Tell me about the tattoos. Like, what do they mean? What do they represent? How did you come about making the decision to get exactly what you got, making a permanent statement?
My first tattoo came at, I think, 55 years old. 54. I don't know. It was over 50, and it was really to bond with my kids. My son was it was a Marine, starting to get tattoos. My daughter was expressing herself, was getting tattoos, and I wanted to bond with them. And so I initially got on my forearm, I've got Thor's hammer, and it's got the words "take action" on it. So if you know me, if you listen to me, you know that it's all about taking action. My dad had a phrase that ideas are cheap. It's the people that put them to action that are priceless. And so take action is important, but Thor's hammer, when I was in high school, I'm going to share this. I was a D&D player. Man, we would spend 2 days all weekend long, no sleep, eating pizza and all this crap, and roll dice and just have an incredible campaign. So I love sci-fi. I love fantasy sci-fi. So I was a D&D guy. So one of my main characters, Meldar, who was a halfling thief fighter, he worshipped Thor. So I have Thor's hammer, but I actually have the Marvel Thor hammer on my arm, so it's not even the right one. Then my daughter, her sophomore year in college, was playing volleyball, recruited for that. She was studying, and at one point in time sat in a chair getting another tattoo, and she said, they were talking, and the person giving her tattoo, the tattoo artist, said, "What do you want to do?" "Well, someday I'd love to do this." "Oh, do you want to come be an apprentice?" And next thing you know, we get a phone call from my daughter. "You said, would you be upset if I dropped out and I became a tattoo artist?" I'm like, "No, hell no." And so she started. And 6 months in, I have a tattoo on my forearm of a single sculler, and I've got on it the initials of all the rowing clubs I rowed. That means something to me. Atlantic City High School, Northeastern University, Rio Salado Rowing Club, where I am now, and Endeavor Racing Alliance, that I'm on a crew that meets at different places and race. So passion of my life and those places that I've been. So that was her 6 months into tattooing. She did in our downstairs at our house. Then the next tattoo a year later I've got is a Lord of the Rings kind of montage that she put together. I've got to look at it. I've got Gandalf's pipe, and in magic smoke, Smaug's eye, the Seeing Stone, and a Hobbit hole. And it's just really freaking cool. She designed it, and it is just right up my alley again. Fantasy, sci-fi, D&D. And then just because the same theme, I've got a dragon on this arm, and a year later she did it. And it's not only cool for me to have things that mean something to me, but ultimately I have 4 tattoos. 3 of them my daughter did. And so that is just like, I go, see what my daughter did? See what my daughter did? So it's pretty damn cool.
Well, that's awesome. That's awesome. I appreciate you sharing that. Yeah, I have known you for a while. I didn't realize until today, like, you're low-key nerd, man. I didn't realize that. Like I think you shared the D&D thing before, but yeah, D&D, Lord of the Rings, yeah. We are digging a little deeper into DSP today. So I have a ton more questions. I have kind of 2 more things I want to do, and kind of swing it back and get a little bit more serious, because in the Flip the Table you did with David Militello, who, by the way, you want to talk about amazing restaurant operators. And if you notice, when we come to Vegas, anytime we're in social settings, you're going to see me sitting fairly close to him.
Yeah.
Because again, I respect so much stuff that he does, and the way he runs his business, just the way he thinks. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
In the interview you did with D-Mel, you referenced something called impostor syndrome.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I didn't know that had a name, but I will tell you, there are there are days where I still wake up and go, at some point, everybody is going to go, who let him in this room? Like, what's he doing here? And I just thought that was a me thing. And then I heard you talk about it with D-Mill. Share a little bit more about your experience with that. Because I can tell you, hearing you talk about it made a huge difference for me. And there may be others watching this that might make a difference for.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a term for it really until talking with John and Brianna when they were talking about, because they had grown their pizzeria from him being a pizza guy and delivery and buying a restaurant that barely did any sales to building what they have today. And they are probably two of the most successful restaurant operators we know. And incredible hospitality, and especially on making sure they put out the greatest experience in food, and now the numbers and building their team. Like they are freaking rock stars. Well, they had imposter syndrome, and that now had a label. Like you as a Gen Xer, wait a minute, what is imposter syndrome? But we're learning these terminologies that these young kids put together. And David and I talked about it, and I'll say the biggest thing for imposter syndrome, it wasn't when I was a restaurant manager. When I was a restaurant manager, I was God's gift to the restaurant world. You couldn't have told me any different. Nobody was the best server, host, busser, at the same time food runner than I was. Like, I own this shit. It was when I decided to go out and teach restaurant systems. I had an incredible background at Coyote Springs, putting things together, creating these systems. I had already started working as director of operations of a 30-unit restaurant sports bar chain as a franchisor, and training and opening stores and doing all that stuff. Having come back to help turn it around, and was turning it around, I had all this success. But I'd go to these conferences, like the Restaurant Leadership Conference here in Arizona, was very chain driven. And I'd go there as this small 30-something unit regional chain, and here's all the Brinker people that you worked with. And right, like it's incestual. These people know each other. They come from PepsiCo, and they come from and they know each other, and they're just bright as shit. And they build these humongous concepts with thousands of restaurants. And here I'm this little dude going, yeah, we got 34 at our height. Like, oh yeah, I'm just this little guy. And then I'm going to go out knowing I'm selling myself out of a job and get this passionate idea that I'm going to start doing seminars, and I'm going to put out info products, and I'm going to be the guy. And I would literally put stuff out there and go, when am I going to be discovered? I don't know as much as these guys, these PepsiCo and Brinker guys. Like, I don't know that shit. And what I eventually learned was, as long as I know more than the person I'm talking to, I'm helping them. The crazy part is, in my 23rd year of coaching, I'll put myself up against anybody because I've experienced so much that I have thousands, if not millions, of points of data that sometimes shit comes out of my mouth and I go, where'd that come from? It's just all this experience for all the different owners and all the different menus I've looked at, budgets put together, restaurants I've walked through, the challenges of partners, And it just all of a sudden now I've got all the experience, and I can look you in the dead in the eye and go, yeah, I'm a restaurant expert. 23 years ago, when's somebody going to figure out I don't know shit? that was really kind of it.
Yeah. Well, it's encouraging to know when you hear from people around you that they've experienced that same thing. And it's I mean, there's not a better word to use than encouraging. And so I truly, personally appreciate you sharing that, because it made a difference to me to listen to you talk about that, because it had a pretty profound impact on me. And then when you recognize it, it changes the way you interact with people. I tell my team all the time, every person you ever meet has something you can learn from them.
Yes.
Every person you meet. Some people, it may be, I am not doing anything the way they did.
Yep.
But you learned that from them, right?
Yep.
So, okay. One last thing that I think is going to be, it's going to be fun for me. Hopefully it's fun for you, and hopefully it's fun for everybody that watches this.
Okay.
Rapid fire. The first answer that comes into your mind, okay?
Okay.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke.
Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Baseball or football?
Football.
Steak or chicken?
Steak.
Beer or wine?
Beer.
Okay. Fiction or biography?
Fiction.
Shorts or slacks?
Shorts.
Yeah, all day long. Late nights or early mornings?
That changed. It's early mornings for me now. I wake up at 3:15 in the morning to get on the water. So it changed. It would have been late. If you asked me that 4 years ago, 5 years ago, it would have been late nights all day long. But no, I'm now an old man.
Or the first week in February or June or the second week in
Yes,
November?
in Vegas when I'm up 24 hours with you guys. Yes.
Keyboard or pen and paper?
Pen and paper.
Dogs or cats?
Dogs.
Comedy or drama?
Comedy.
Sweet or savory?
Sweet.
LA or New York?
New York.
All right. Apple or Android?
Apple.
And then the last one, and there is a right and a wrong answer on this one.
Uh-oh.
Houston or Dallas?
What if I told you I'm not a fan of either?
I would say get your ass down to Houston in February, and we'll take you to the cook-off, and that will change.
Fair. As long as it's not during the muggy time. I have been to Houston when it's supposed to be nice out, and the humidity, I just want to melt. It is not the city, it's the weather. And Dallas isn't much better, man. It's hot, and they get ice. I don't know.
Okay, well, I'm pretty sure winter is supposed to be on a Wednesday this year down here, so
fantastic.
I'll double check the calendar. One final question.
Yeah.
And I've got 4 I'm going to pick from. Actually, no, I'm going to do 2. Favorite movie of all time?
Favorite movie? Lord of the Rings.
Should have seen that coming.
Yeah.
If you could only eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be?
Pizza. Easy.
I knew that too. We've walked 8 miles for a slice of pizza before.
Yes, we have. At 3 o'clock in the morning, for that matter.
At 3 o'clock in the morning, yes. Man, thanks for giving me the chance to do this. This has been a blast.
I appreciate you doing it. I hope that everybody enjoys what we've gone over, and more importantly, I appreciate you and what you bring to the group, and I'm glad you did this with me. If there's anything, in the future, if we're going to do this again, I'm going to find you because this was fun. I appreciate you, Brian, very much.
Awesome. All right. We'll talk again soon.
Ready to take the next step towards achieving restaurant prosperity, freedom from the daily grind, and the financial success you deserve? Book a discovery call with Ryan James to learn about our group coaching program. Ryan will guide you through how our program can transform your restaurant and help you achieve the prosperity and freedom you've been striving for.